you haven't guessed it already, yes, this is the Tesla Diner. Um, it was my son's birthday, and he really wanted to go there. So, we took him, and he had a great time. It was interesting. There's a lot of cool design features, from those little food boxes to the way the building looks like a spaceship. Everything's round and has, these curves. So it does really feel like you're, in some kind of enterprise or something. Then the huge old school, it just reminds me of old school, uh, the giant drive-in screens. I thought that was pretty cool little feature too. Just cool little lighting fixture, like they're like on the door. There's like just little touches here and there that just makes it really unique and fun. Um, just the way the windows are curved, the lighting. It's just a fun place to check it out. Uh, a little overpriced, I felt the food, but the experience I think is worth it, especially if you're from out of town.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Spray to Pixels. Hope you guys had an amazing week. Today I want to speak on something that everybody makes political, but I feel like we shouldn't. Elon Musk. I feel he's doing a lot of great things for the world, and I'm not gonna get into his politics because that's not why I like him personally. I think I like more his innovations, his thought process, his inventions, and kind of like companies he's supporting and things he's built, he believes in. I do believe in that we should be a planetary species. I do believe in that. So, yeah, you know, I normally don't bring up, celebrities or, anyone in general, but I wanted to mention him because he's got a Cybertruck. Everybody knows the Cybertruck. It's pretty famous. And if you don't know it, look it up. I I think it's got a lot of cool things about it, and a lot of cool features. But overall, I feel like it could use some more design additions to it to make it even more powerful looking design wise. That's just my feeling, my theory as a designer, as an artist. Um, but I wanted to talk about that because I wanted to draw a car for you guys. I wanted to show you guys how to draw a car. And, a few years ago, that would have been an option to even draw the Cybertruck. But I think it does do the basic shapes. And I feel like that's a great way for you guys to be able to take the simple shapes of the Cybertruck to a regular car or a more, overly designed car. So I just thought it'd be great for us to draw the Cybertruck together, and I would break down the basic shapes because the truck is very simple, and that's what I mean. Like we could add more to it. At least I feel like I could. But we're gonna do that. So I wanted to do that with you guys. All right. So make sure you have a pencil, eraser, paper. Um, you know. If you don't and you have a tablet, you can use your tablet. That's fine. You can probably do more effects with a tablet anyways if you want to keep pushing it. So my suggestion is, so let's do that. But again, before I start, I wanted to say, when you try to remember the lessons I did on perspective, like eye level, horizon line, vanishing point, because that is going to help you set up your vehicle, set up the grid. We're going to do a simple grid. It's not going to be elaborate like the room, because it doesn't have to be that elaborate. You could, but it doesn't have to be. So we're going to have a very basic, and then something I didn't do too much of on the background. I didn't go over ellipses, and ellipses are a whole nother thing, but I'll do a basic explanation.
start with perspective lines, like the direction that the VP is gonna go, the vanishing point. So think like this. These lines are gonna go to this vanishing point, and then these lines are gonna go to this vanishing point. Do some arrows to kind of indicate that. You're kind of like visualizing the vanishing point and actually drawing it to the vanishing point. So you're kind of suggesting a vanishing point by having the lines going into a perspective. You could attach it to, but it's gonna be like way high up, and you're gonna have to it's like triple the work. I used to do that for planning things. It works better for backgrounds, but for vehicles and stuff, it's always better to suggest the perspective, kind of how I indicated here, and start with the simple box. And then here I'm breaking it down because I'm thinking, okay, what's the length of this car? How many tires? And most cars are like 5 tires. They could be longer, especially the Cybertruck. Cybertruck tends to be longer than a regular car. So I'm definitely gonna have to add extra tires or space in the bottom because this vehicle is definitely larger than regular cars. And I figured out as I keep drawing, I realized, that the 5 tires isn't gonna work. It's close, it's closer to, like 8 tires. Sorry, 7 tires. So I play around, and again, don't feel intimidated. Like I said, I started with the basic rectangle, square shapes, and then it's all freehand, and I slowly will start adding a ruler here and there whenever I want to keep a shape or line that I feel like that's pretty strong. And then something to be aware of is the Cybertruck is very angular, and that's why I was saying it's easier to draw stuff that's angular than curved. So there's a lot of angles, and if you notice closely, you start seeing that long window. It's like basically a triangle, elongated. So basically, the whole top of the car is an elongated triangle. Um, and that's why I thought, okay, this is easy. You guys can kind of see the shape and then break it up. So remember, we're carving into a piece of, think of it like a stone, square stone or rectangle stone. We're carving into it, and so now we're carving the major triangle shape, which is the roof line of the car. Don't feel intimidated, when you're doing this. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna misjudge a line, or the perspective's gonna be off or something, and you're gonna have to elongate something else or shorten something else. It's okay. It's part of the process. So just keep going and keep figuring it out. Keep looking at your reference material. Look at the scale. Look at the length of certain things, and just keep going back and forth, back and forth. I say enjoy the journey. The destination is awesome once you get there. Oh, I did this, I accomplished this. It's great, but the journey, the figuring it out, the I've never been here before, the exploration stage, I think is awesome. It's pretty important. And again, just keep looking and keep analyzing, and you'll see, oh, this is an angle, this goes this angle, this direction, this forms a shape, the side door, this cuts into it. You can realize, oh, there's just angles everywhere. This whole vehicle is angles. There's only a little bit of curves towards the front, where the bumper is, but I'll do that a little bit. I'll do some of that later, and you'll see it as a slight curve.
And if you take notice, I did use some pictures of the concept design of the Tesla, so it's not going to look exactly like the car out there that's being driven. I started off looking at those designs, and then I realized there's some parts I couldn't understand what's going on. So then I looked at the real Tesla afterwards, and I was, oh, okay. And then I started to modify it. So I kind of did a hybrid of the concept art
because that's what I was looking at originally, and that's why it has those thicker triangular side panels right there by the windows, those corner panels, the frame, and then I modified it when I started to see the original one, the one that I actually made, and I kind of like uh, that's why I said a hybrid. I made a hybrid of it, of both designs. As you keep drawing, just keep thinking of like looking at your reference and then looking at the perspective lines, looking like how to define the shapes of the vehicle, which direction the vehicle goes, the shapes, because it's not like a straight down shot, it's not like a box, so it's got angles. So think, okay, got this angle goes this direction, slight degree this way, uh, 3/4 this way, and you'll notice that all these things kind of like work together to create the rhythm of the design of the vehicle, and all the angles have a purpose. It's like it's curving, the car is curving, but this isn't curving with curves, it's curving with angles. So it's good to like pay attention to that, and you might not see it right away, especially on a concept design. It's like rough, but as you start looking at the car, the real car, you figure out, okay, this is the shapes going this direction, and then this is curving this way, but it's an angle, and this matches up with this. Now I'm doing the ellipses. See, it's like it's not a full circle, so it's almost like a half a circle or a quarter of a circle, and you kind of have to like kind of like eyeball it, and that's not easy. It's like takes practice doing ellipses, but all tires, depending on the angle, are most likely ellipses, unless you're looking at it straight on, then it becomes a circle. But even then, I would say it'd be just like ellipse. So yeah, it takes practice to kind of get that kind of motion, a circular motion. I am going to design a lesson plan on all basic forms and shapes, just to kind of help out. Because I know maybe was too advanced, but I thought it was a decent way to kind of explain certain things and concepts. But I am going to do a lesson plan on basic shapes, ellipses, triangles, spheres, squares, and how to like work with that, and in perspective. It'll kind of maybe make things more clear for you guys. I'm hoping, but there's a little more thought process because there's some different. Each shape has different things you have to deal with, but when you know how to do all those basic shapes, you can pretty much draw anything. So it doesn't become it's not as challenging once you figure that out. You know all the basic shapes, because you realize that everything that is a product, you know, or structure has basic shapes that you can break down to smaller, more complicated shapes. Try your hardest not to get frustrated. If you get stuck on something, you can't figure something out, just like again, like I said, just keep looking, like really, really look. Um, and like I said, like I got stuck on the concept car, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look at the real vehicle. And when I started to see certain things that they didn't incorporate or they removed, I could start kind of like figuring things out, and working my design and realizing that they changed something, or that they you know this is what it really looked like, and I just couldn't really see it in the drawing that they did. So just don't get frustrated. Just do a little more research, stop and pause, and go, okay, what's going on here? Don't like just start do more thinking and problem solving. I feel like a lot of design is problem solving. That's my whole job, is problem solving. And once you solve the problem, you're like, oh, there's a solution there. Oh, okay, that was what the issue was. Um, you know, but and then you'll just feel better about yourself. You're like, okay, no, that wasn't so bad. And I'll be honest, sometimes you just have to walk away from a design to get fresh eyes, like come back to it refreshed. Might have to take like a 5 minute break, and then go, and then when you look at it, it feels like you're looking at it anew, and you just go, wait, oh, there's the problem or there's the issue. It's almost sometimes I feel like it's harder to stay on it the whole time trying to solve it. Sometimes you just have to walk away for a minute and then it comes together, you know. And here I'm using a different color to kind of differentiate the wheels um, from the body of the vehicle, and then I'm now also indicating, that blue line, like this kind of like the scale as I go back to perspective, like where the rear tire might end up. Um, yeah. Then I started to realize that I better get a shadow going. So I'm taking the corners of the vehicle and projecting it down to the ground level and basically creating its casted shadow. So I'm thinking the light source is coming from behind the vehicle from above, and now I'm creating a cast shadow. And that's how you do that. You kind of indicate, once you figure that out, you could play with the shadow. You can make it go any direction you want. So that's the fun part about, like, when you learn perspective, you can kind of create anything, and you can kind of create the look and play with shadows and lighting and all kinds of stuff. It's just learning the fundamentals, basics, and that kind of makes everything else way easier. Yeah, then I know that if you ever look at cars and the reflective light, it's not like a solid shade. It's not. Even if the windows are tinted, you're gonna have like reflections on the glass. So I'm just indicating. Gonna get really fancy. I'm just kind of doing a quick sketch, of possible shading, just to kind of give the line drawing a little more oomph, a little more volume as well. So I'm creating volume with the shading I'm doing. I really enjoy drawing on paper with color pencils. I don't know what it is. I think it just takes me back in time, um, before the digital age, when your fingers got dirty from pigments in the pencils, and you could feel the erase shavings on your hands. Just something about it was nostalgic for me, and I guess because I drew my entire life as a child, so I think it just kind of makes me feel like more youthful, I guess you could say, like I'm a kid again. Because the digital age is different. It's cleaner. It is faster as well, and you can cut a lot of corners as well. But with drawing, traditionally, it's like you can't really cut corners. It's like you kind of have to, like, you can't hit delete. It's like you have to erase it. And it's like it's physical labor, like sitting there trying to like erase something that maybe it's a dark line or something. And then when you want to have a darker line, you have to press harder. So it's more of more strain on your hand than arms, because you're putting some um, oomph into it. You're really pushing harder on the tools, the pencils, to create darker lines and surfaces. Here I realize that there's smaller shapes for my reference material, kind of varies. So I had to like break up the rear differently as I caught things that weren't shown or they modified. And then I realized that the base of the vehicle on the bottom of the door had another shape, and then that cuts into it to kind of like create the side panels of the doors and side of the car. So I started breaking breaking that up, and it's kind of looking at the direction lines, which way they went, how they cut into the vehicle, how they cut out of the vehicle, just to create the form of the vehicle in my drawing. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Just like, okay, this is this way, that way, and like I said, don't be intimidated to erase. Like you see something, and it might be the wrong shape, the wrong angle, but keep looking. Like keep looking, and you go, oh, goes this way, or that goes that way. Okay, I was off, a little bit. Okay, erase it. Don't be intimidated by that. Don't be like the first line you put down has to be super accurate. It's like you're figuring it out as you go. You're kind of putting it together as you go. Um, Here, I realized as I was looking at my reference that they changed the window. It wasn't as, it didn't come to a triangle point at the end. They squared it off. Um, so I was like, all right. So I see that they made this modification from the concept design. They changed it for the actual design. So then I had to like fix that, and all those little tweaks you start to add. That's why I said keep really look, because every single thing you add to it just gives it more, identifies it more as the actual vehicle, because it's every change they add, it just looks more like the real Tesla. Now I'm getting more into defining the shapes and separating certain materials. So, like this back area, I want it to pop more from the paper. So I'm gonna create this shading, just constant back and forth, constant forth. And kind of also think when you're putting pressure, like where you want it darker at. So put more pressure at the end, so that it has a more of a pop, and then you kind of gradate it, as it comes forward. That's kind of what I'm doing here with the ground. So the first time I shaded it, it was just to kind of indicate where it was going to be, and then once I get closer to finished design or drawing, then I come in harder and push it, kind of like blend it better and stuff. And you see how it's like already popping, the form, the car is like coming forward, just those slight indications will help with that, going from a flat line drawing to something with volume and reflections and lighting. It just creates a more interesting design, I feel. Yeah, so just keep going back and forth, kind of figure out where he needs it. Like I said, I'm starting at the corners, the further end, just to kind of create more of the lights closer to us. It just pops more. Um, so I think like every shape, every angle, there's reflective light, and then it kind of fades away. Creates a cool effect. Um, so yeah, just again, don't be intimidated. Just go for it.
Well, that'll conclude the lesson for Straight to Pixels on the perspective of drawing a vehicle, the Cybertruck. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys had fun. Anyways, thanks again for coming to my channel. I appreciate you guys' likes, comments, anything you could kind of come my way. I want to get the algorithm to kind of let people know that people like this video and it should be shown to others. On that note, again, thank you so much. Hope you guys have an amazing week, and keep drawing, keep creating, keep having fun. All right, have a good one. Bye. Peace.